grab the heartstrings of the audience within the first few minutes of his show, engaging them in his exceptional skill, his wit and charm, and leave them astounded, clapping, and at their feet screaming for more.
That's why Jazz Review calls Braxton one of the smooth jazz's most prolific saxophonists, with all the required tools to become a major force. He is a native Texan and has recorded 8 albums.
His music can be heard on radio and television airwaves nationwide, and his albums have hit numerous jazz charts, including the Billboards, Radio Wave, SmoothJazz.com, Groove Jazz Music, Capitol Jazz Radio, and Amazon.
Mr. Braxton has toured extensively, performing as a headliner on the first Smooth Jazz Europe Festival in the Netherlands and the Nile Gold Jazz Safari in Uganda. He was also a featured performer on the Java Jazz Festival in Jakarta, Indonesia, South Africa, Japan, Russia, and Eastern Europe, just to name a few.
He has been featured in media and publications such as Jazz Is, Smooth Jazz News, the Saxophone Journal, CBS's The Saturday Early Show, Ugandan Television, and Daystar Television Network.
Tom says, creating music that brings people joy is my mission in life.
Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, it is an honor and a privilege to introduce to you Tom Braxton.
Well, whenever anybody introduces you, you're sitting there going, are they talking about me? Well, I want everybody to repeat after me. Yes. Say yes.
Yes.
It's Friday.
It's Friday.
I don't
I
have to come
have to come
to school
to school
tomorrow. Yay! I used to love Fridays, but I'm so glad I could come by and spend, I think they told me I have 3 hours to spend with you. We're going to go to about 4 o'clock. Is that okay?
I'm home.
I do like to kid around a little bit, so you need to be prepared for that. But I'm just going to spend a little time with you, talk a little about music, which is what I do for a living professionally. I'm from Texas. I grew up in way up the other end of Texas, a place called Lubbock, up in the Dusty Plains. So it's amazing that I've got to do all the things that I've done coming from Lubbock. I brought a couple of friends with me today that I'm going to play just a little bit for you. And I know that you're doing a unit on poetry. Is that correct? Yeah, this is exciting. I mean, I love literature. You might be saying, well, you're a musician. Why are you interested in literature? You'd be surprised how much the educational background I received affects what I do every day. You might say, well, you're a musician. Why do you need to know English? Well, I have to send emails. I have to write reports. I have to communicate with people. And when they see my communication, it better make sense. I better have everything spelled right. I better be able to create great sentences so I can communicate with them. Because when they may not know me, but when they read what I've written, they may say, well, this guy kind of needs to do some work, or he's really smart. See, so I was just sitting at breakfast working on a proposal. I'm doing a smooth jazz cruise next week, and they want me to do a workshop, and they want me to do a brief overview. So I'm sitting there writing a paragraph. So I need to know how to write. You might say, well, why does a musician need to know how to do math? Well, I do CDs. I have to prepare a budget for them. I have to project manage that CD budget. So I have to know how to add and subtract. So almost everything that you're learning in school, you will need it later. So it's very important. And you might say, well, what? Poetry. Well, I need that. Sure. The thing that's important about poetry is it communicates a concept, an idea, somebody's feelings, and music does the same thing. Now, I can't sing unless it's in the shower. That's still not that great. But I can play an instrument. And with that instrument, I can create an emotion. Here's an example. I can give you 2 different emotions by playing 2 different things. Suppose I want to do something that's kind of heartfelt, fuzzy, dreamy, like this. that was nice and dreamy. And, so that was a mood, like a poem, right? That might be something like a Robert Frost might write something that's kind of like that. Or maybe I want to do something that's a little edgier, like some old New Orleans jazz, like totally different concepts, totally different ideas, totally different communications, totally different ideas, but the same horn. I'm the same person, but it's different things. You can sit down and write two different poems. One could be you're excited, you're having a great day. One could be like, I'm so ready to go home and play video games. I know about video games. So anyway, I'm going to play a song for you that was inspired. There's an artist that I worked with named Earl Klugh. I know you haven't heard of him. It's okay. It's okay. Because he started playing way before you were born. And he's very well known in Africa. I've been to Africa with him about 6 or 7 times to different countries inside of Africa. And one time we went to a place called, I want you to say this, Lilongwe, Malawi. Lilongwe, Malawi. And it is a long way, by the way. I mean, you're talking about a 10-hour flight, another 10-hour flight, and another 2-hour flight. Fun stuff, though. So we get there, and I'm telling you all this because this is how the song came about. We get there, and they put us way out from the city at this old dairy farm. And it's a bed and breakfast. It has these huts out there that are covered with grass, and it's absolutely beautiful. I wish I had pictures. The neat thing about it was at night, the wildlife show up outside. All the frogs came out, big black bullfrogs. You could hear down the hill the hyenas making sounds. No lions. And then in our cabins, they were beautiful on the inside, very modern, but there were a few surprises in there, and they told you, they said, now there will be geckos in there. Now that helps get rid of the bugs, actually. Now, where I live in Dallas, a gecko is that big. There, they're about like that. And I remember I was brushing my teeth one morning, and I look and something's on the wall like this. Oh, yeah. And I said, look, if you don't start anything, there won't be any trouble. Okay, as long as you stay there, I'm here. And you would step out your front door, and there'd be all kind of lizards and beautiful colors and flowers and everything. Well, one morning, I was under my mosquito netting because they have some big mosquitoes, and you have to take malaria pills so you don't get, things that happen from mosquitoes. And it's okay though. But yeah, you sleep under mosquito netting. One morning I woke up, the sun was coming up, painting a picture for you, and the birds were singing. Everybody had their own song. Every bird, every animal, everybody was just crickets, everything was happening. And I said, I'm inspired. So when I got back, I wrote a song called Sunrise in Malawi, which is on the new CD. And you'll hear at the beginning, all the bird sounds and different things that we were able to collect. And so I'm going to play a little bit of this, and I want you to think about where the inspiration of the song. I won't play all of it, but we'll see if I captured it. How about that? Let's see. It's playing right now. Did it do something?
Move the mouse and went to sleep. Maybe because the computer went to sleep.
Oh, there it is. Okay. That was the test one. I'm already in that one. That won't do any good. I need to play one where I'm not in it, so give me 1 second. I pulled up the wrong deal. Here we go. You guys are so patient, and what great listeners you are. I'm so impressed. Teachers, you've done a great job. All right, here we go. Now one without me in it so I can play my parts. Here it comes. There we go. And it goes on. Now, when my wife first heard that, she said, you know, it sounds like when you do the ba-da-ba-ba. But there's a bunch of Malawian kids right behind you doing this kind of thing. And I did get to meet a lot of the people, and they were very, very sweet. So, so you see how the song was inspired. Did you see that in your mind? The beginning part with the birds and everything. So even though you haven't been to Malawi, you kind of were able to experience that, right? Okay, let me give you one more example. And then I'm running out of time. I'll give you one more example. Now, this is a different inspiration because the timbre is very different. See, this instrument is very brassy, kind of, even though I was playing it in a kind of mellow way. But the flute has a different mood off its own. Now, I was on another trip This time I was in Hawaii. And there was another beach. And it was beautiful, and it was called Kanapali Beach. The waves were crashing on the shore, and it was beautiful, and I love the ocean. And I was inspired once again to write something. Now, this is a Latin tune as well, but it's a little different mood to it. And so I'm going to play a little bit for you. So I want you to think about the ocean, which you're close to. Blue waves. Sounds like a great vacation about now, by the way. Don't imagine me in a grass shirt up here. It's not a good visual. But I will play. I'm going to play just a little flute for you on this. Then we're going to talk about a couple of things before we wrap it up. All right, so be prepared. After I play a little bit of this, I may ask you a question like, what observations did you have? How do you think I was inspired to do this? Are you ready for that? Can you answer that question? Sure. Nice dimple. My son has one dimple like that. All right. Here we go. Okay. Now, what was different about that piece from the first one? What do you think? What do you think the mood was different about those?
It was more calm.
It was calm. It's mellow. Where do you think that inspiration might have come from? What's calm?
Ocean.
The ocean. Pacific Ocean. Pacific means what? Peace. Peaceful. So as you're sitting there, your feet crossed on the beach, and you're looking out, calm. Is it relaxing? Were you relaxed? Kind of. Yeah. See, so I created a mood, and the flute, did it help? Did it help create the mood for you? The flute did, see. So, yeah, I'm over here going to sleep because it's so calm. So, and we actually put on music for different moods. You know, sometimes when you're excited, you crank up the music in the car. Yeah, you'll see people driving along singing, sometimes not paying attention on the road, yelling. And then sometimes you're not in a great mood. You just, like after I play a gig, I want the music. I need to kind of come down. Well, same thing is true with written word, with poetry. There's things that you read that are different moods. Certain poems make you feel energetic, like I'm inspired. I need to go out and do this and do that. Some are introspective. They make you reflect. They make you think. They make you meditate on different aspects of life. Somebody points out an insight that makes you go, I hadn't thought about life like that before. So and what I tell my musicians that I'm teaching is music has layers to it. You know how an onion has layers and you can peel it? Outback Steakhouse used to have something called the Awesome Blossom. It was a big onion, and you peel it and eat it, and you peel back some more and eat some more. That's the way music is. There's a poem you might read, and on the surface it's like, it sounds kind of simple. And then you write, oh, this is a metaphor for life. This is like the tortoise and the hare. You know, I'm just using a very simple example. Yeah, we read that in the second grade. I know that. But the point is, at first it could just be a rabbit and a turtle. Well, duh, the rabbit's going to win. But it's also a life lesson. Don't be too overconfident. And there's nothing wrong with slow and steady can win the race for you. Okay, so that's just a small example of how life, poems, music can have different layers attached to it. So you see those different moods that I was able to show with those two songs. Let me just share a little bit about myself as we're wrapping up, and then I'll let you ask me a couple of questions before we go. Is that okay? Everybody doing all right? Everybody doing all right? Okay, good. Well, I want to encourage you today as far as school, because the reason they were able to read that resume of things that I've done, a big part of it is because of work ethic and because of the educational background I've received. Now, I've never gone on a gig. You know what a gig is, by the way, right? It's a performance. And anyone's asked me to see my diploma. I have a college diploma. And I have a Bachelor of Music degree from Texas Tech. But no one's ever asked to see it. I have to do what I do. Now, there's nothing wrong, I was telling your teachers, with being a Renaissance person. What's a Renaissance person? The Renaissance was an age where people could do. Da Vinci was a scientist. He was an artist. He could do many things very well. He was an inventor. You can be that way too. I was able to be in the band when I was growing up. I went to All-State twice. I went to All-Region many years. Also went to state as a track athlete. You know, I was a 400-meter, 4x1, 200-meter runner. I went to Tech actually on a track scholarship. I was also the valedictorian of my high school class. I had a 4.0. I didn't make anything but A's in high school. I'm not bragging. I'm telling you that I was a summa cum laude graduate from Texas Tech. I only had one grade that was not an A. I still think I was wrong. But the point is, you could say, well, you know, I'm going to be in the NFL. I don't need school. I'm going to be a running back and make all this money. There are a lot of people that have said that. I have a son that is running track. He's 4th in the nation in 200 meters right now. It's still hard to get college scholarships because they only have so many. And the competition is international. You're competing with people from all over the world for college scholarships. You've got to have something special about you. And the thing that makes him special, he is a track athlete. He's also a baritone sax player in the marching band. He's in the English Honor Society. He's in the Math Honor Society, the Spanish Honor Society. He does community service. You can do a lot of things. And you know where it starts? Right now. Then when I get to high school, I'm going to get serious about school. No, it's too late. You need to start right now. You know, when I get to college, a lot of people, if their study habits are bad right now, they're bad later. When I got to college, they said, look to the left and the right. In 40 years, most of these people won't be here. They didn't make it because they didn't have discipline and commitment. And they weren't willing to work. Plain old work. I told the audience last night, there are no shortcuts to those. I still practice. I told my students, I'm practicing. You practice? I've been playing saxophone for 40 years. I don't know how that works since I'm only 25. The teachers got that one. You got area one. But I've been playing for 40 years, and I still practice. I'm going to go practice when I leave here because I've got to get better. I'm constantly trying to improve my craft. Okay, so you can start now. I play on a TV show when I'm in town, a TV show several days a week, a live TV show that we do that goes around the world. And there was a leadership guy on there, and the host of the show said, you do things all over the world. Tell me one thing that is the best thing to make somebody valuable in today's workplace. Everybody leaned forward. And he said, you know what? The best thing you can do is exceed expectations consistently. What does that mean? Do more than you're asked to do all the time. And Aristotle said excellence is a habit that you practice. What does that mean? Teacher says read a certain amount. Read more than that. It won't kill you. Don't just barely do what the teacher says. Oh, C is okay. No, it's not. Don't go on the low end. Decide, you know what? I'm going to do the very best I can every time. Every time I get on the stage, I do the very best job I can do. Every time. Now, I don't always get there. Believe it or not, I have a secret. You're no perfect performer. I make mistakes. After 40 years, I make mistakes. I still remember I was doing some Christmas shows at the Rock Box Theater in Fredericksburg. We did 31 shows. I had 31 great shows. 30 of them were great. I had to come out, and part of the Christmas show, I had to do Luke chapter 2. I had to just recite part of that Bible verse, and then we went to Silent Night. I still remember it. 30 times it was great. One time I came out and I did the first part and I drew a total blank. I could not remember the rest of it. And it was just like. So you make mistakes. But you got to go out and try to do your very best every time. And then you know what happens? It becomes a habit. After a while, every time the teacher gives you an assignment, oh, I can't wait to get onto this. Mom said, hey, how about this? Shock your parents and clean your room. I've been telling you. Oh my God. Go home and okay, I'm gonna get these socks off the floor and put my. What's wrong with that? That's your first building. Your room is the first place where you can make a difference. Clean up. Go in there and wash the dishes without mom telling you. Why am I telling you to do this? Because these are little things that can help you much later. And then when you're on your job, you're doing things that the boss doesn't tell you to do. It's like, wow, he's valuable. I remember I was a sub on a job with a Japanese keyboardist named Keiko Matsui, who's from Tokyo, and we traveled all over the world. I played in Japan with her. And I remember I was subbing. And it wasn't my gig. I was subbing for the regular sax player. And he came to the gig. He had a conflict, but he came later. And I played the show, and he sat down next to me, and he looked at me, and he said, you really learned this gig. Like, a little too well. Like, are you trying to take my job? And I looked at him, and I said, what else was I supposed to do? I was asked to do a job. I'm going to do it the best I can. You see, that's how you do it. And guess what? The word gets around. You get a reputation of being, if I ask her to do it, it's going to be done right. The boss comes in your office, here, you need to handle this so-and-so because I can trust you. You're going to do it well, right? Okay. See, that's important. And then when you get to high school and college, it's just a continuation of what I've already been doing. I don't have to suddenly become super stupid. I've just been doing it all along. Well, I don't even know if I'm going to college. I don't know. It doesn't matter. It's great if you get to go to college. I hope you do. It's a great experience. But whatever you do it well. Military, vocation, whatever. You do know that the guy from, just throwing this in, sorry teachers, the guy from FedEx didn't go to college. The guy who started Federal Express. And he's a gazillionaire. But he had an idea, and he worked really hard. Everybody that does well in school may not go to college. But they don't go lay around either. I have a joke with my own kids. And every time I say it, they go, oh, no, we're not. My son's about to go off to college next year. And I'm saying, now, you're going to stay home with us till you're 30, right? Oh, no, I'm not. They're serious. They know, and no, I'm going to go out and do things. I have ambition. And here's another big secret as I'm wrapping up. Are you ready for this? You ready? Are you ready? Can I say this? It's okay.
Okay.
No, it's all right. Everybody may not have the same ideas and work ethic as you. So there are certain people you may not be able to hang out with because they don't care about school. They don't care about going anywhere. And they can drag you down with it. And then none of you end up there. I have people that I went to school with way back in the dark ages. You know, when King Arthur was alive, back when I was in school. Some of them weren't doing anything when I was in high school. They're still not doing anything. See, it starts early. So, I took a while to say that because whenever I go to see young people, I like to get them fired up about where they are right now. And it doesn't matter where you start. It's where you finish. Well, most people in my family, maybe they didn't go to school. So you'll be the first one. Well, most of my family's this and that. So, but you know what? My son came to me one day and he said, Dad, I want to be an owner of things. I'd like to be the first black commissioner of one of the sports leagues, hockey, football, baseball. Why not? I said, sure, keep on dreaming, pal. Come on, whatever I can do to help you. So he's always thinking about different ways to do things. So, got to dream a little bit, have some ideas. And then guess what? Roll up the sleeves, and you got to work at it. Okay? All right, now, do you have any questions for me? Because I am out of time. As a matter of fact, I went a little over, but I hope that you were able to pick up on something. If you have a question about inspiration, about music, about education, you can't ask me a whole lot about poetry, because that's their job. But
I don't know, you covered it pretty well. I started laughing when you were talking because they do have to write
oh, see, I didn't even look up there.
They do, and I thought, I wonder if he's reading this. It was really funny because a couple of things that I touched on the poetic techniques. I mean, the identifying the different types of poetry, and you were right in there with that.
Wow.
And I told them many, many times there are few, if there, every songwriter is a poet at heart, and every music maker is as well, obviously. So this is something that you take with you. You keep a song in your heart, you're never alone. All these things that are fabulous, music, poetry, they impact you emotionally. And this is fabulous.
And our challenge is we don't have words, so we have to try to paint those pictures with the notes, the backgrounds, the sounds. Like I had to take you to the islands there on the second song by creating a movie. And so that's my challenge. I'll sit there and I'll run the song by somebody and I'll say, did you feel like that? I wrote a song called Distant Skies. I was coming home late in October, and the sky, that gets that beautiful magenta, purple, yellow colors. The sun is going down. And I said, I got to capture that. And so I wrote a song called Distant Skies. and I put a cello in it, and it's really pretty. It's kind of slow, and I said, okay, I said, did I get it? You know, I'll ask somebody, did you see that when I finished that song? So it's a challenge if I don't have the words to describe it, to try to get them to see what I'm seeing. So, anybody else have a question? Like, that's my little video here. Do you have a question?
Are you playing tonight?
I actually play tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
I've got the late show. Kirk Whalum is at 8, and I'm at 10:30.
Now, that's a little late for you all, but I am telling you, if you want to have a fabulous weekend, go to Jazz Fest. It is a wonderful place to go.
Now you have a question. And by the way, we were talking about this before I came in here, and I've got to get out of here because you all have to go. Jazz, people think, they have a concept of what it is. I'm going to come here and fall asleep on the front row because he's going to be up there. We have a good time. I jump off the stage. I don't crowd surf, but we have fun. I mean, it's up tempo. We have a really good time, and we get the audience involved. I think you'd be surprised. A lot of young people, when they come see us, they're like, "This is different than I thought it was going to be." It's just because it's instrumental music doesn't mean it's nap time. So, yes.
What is one of your favorite instruments?
Even though I play the saxophone, which is a given, the piano is actually one, which is what I started with. And I started by learning the classics, Bach, Beethoven, Brahms, classical piano, which I want to go back to if there's such a thing as retirement for me, for life, to go back to playing classical music. So piano, I'd say, maybe my favorite. And that's where I do all my compositions, actually, at the piano. And then I bring the sax in at the end and see how it's woven together. But with today's technology, and that's a whole other story, I can create almost the first song that I did, I created almost all of that at home. I played all the instruments except the guitar and the drums. All the other things, I didn't do the percussion sounds. But here's a side note, this is why you need to know how to do things. I was in Uganda, Africa, and I had my laptop, and there was a percussionist on the same show who used to play with Sade. You know who that is? Yeah. And so we had a day off, and I said, okay, I want you to grab some congas, some shakers, and come to my hotel room. We plugged in some mics and interface, and I recorded a lot of that percussion right there in the hotel with an interface. And you see, so I have to know how to do things. I'm not a computer science major, but I have to know how to do things. Got a wide range of skills that you'll need, just for music, not to mention other areas. Any other questions? You've been dying to say something. I know, I can tell. Great smile. You don't have to make up one. It's okay. Yes?
Did you ever learn how to play the trumpet?
I know how to do it because I actually taught band for a while. I mean, I know how to buzz, but that's not my realm. Do you play trumpet?
Yes, I played it last year.
Wonderful. It's all about the corners. It looks funny, but it's all about the corners. Flute's all about the corners too. And so you go back to the basics to playing the instrument. But yeah, trumpet is awesome. I've played with some great trumpet players over the years. Love it. Great question. Anyone else? Yes.
It's not really a question, but earlier you were saying that if you hang with the wrong people, that you can be dragged down. And my mom's always saying things like that, and I really just do not like it.
Uh-oh, she's gonna hurt me.
I mean, like, it's always the negative. People always think the negative way. Like, why can't you drag them up? Or why can't they do their own thing, we do your own thing, you still succeed at life, but you still hang out with them?
That is a great point. Percentage-wise, it almost always happens here. Percentage-wise, usually the good kid comes down to the level of the other kids versus the good kid elevating the others. Usually. In my life, that's what I've seen. I'm going to help I call them Pookie and Ray Ray. I can't help it. That's my nickname for people who are kind of don't want to do anything. I'm going to help them come up with stuff. Now, every once in a while it does happen. You can influence. Now, here's a good point. She makes a great point. This is a good talking point. You can influence other people to great things. I agree. But then you may not be able to draw your inspiration from them. See what I'm saying? In other words, it doesn't mean you can never associate with somebody who's, and this is a really good thing I tell my own kids. I don't tell them you're not better than anyone else. Because somebody's making poor decisions doesn't mean I'm better than they are. As a matter of fact, I would like to help them, and you might. And think about how awesome it is if you do help one or two people to turn their life around and be like it. But then, a lot of times, the opposite does happen. In my short years here, I've seen it go the other way. Now, other people have probably had this. Your parents brought it up, I bet. Anybody else heard that? Don't hang out with those people that fail this and that. It's not personal. They're looking out for you. They're trying to protect you. Because you're highly impressionable at this age. Highly impressionable. And somebody it's real easy to, That's why you have to have your head on straight. You have to be very clear about what your mission is. And then, you know what? As they see how determined you are, you're like, I'm going here. I'm going to go to college. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. So they might go, man, she's a role model for this. So I'm not mad at those people. I'm not, and they're salvageable. And you may help salvage somebody that's making some poor decisions. Tell Mom I said good job.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, you guys have a great weekend. Come out tomorrow night, sing, please.